So I think what we want to talk about here is SSDs,
Mm.
and why SSDs could change the way we play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kind of think this basically, it's a bit of, it's almost like science fiction, because obviously the consoles manufacturers, both of them, more Sony than I would say Microsoft. Microsoft just responded to what Sony were doing. Are
Yeah.
basically pushing their new hardware with the SSDs being front and center,
Yeah.
trying to sell us the idea that it's more than just loading a game quickly, and it is. I think it will
Mm.
end up being, hopefully, more than loading a game quickly. Loading a game quickly, that's kind of convenient, and
Mm.
that's a good,
Quality of life thing.
quality of life. That's what I really wanted to say. Above
Mm.
and beyond that, I mean, that doesn't exactly change the way games are going to be built or designed, right?
Mm.
You
But I
know,
think if it can reduce loading screens, which I think they've already demoed in all the sort of demos for both PS5 and the new the Series X and S, etc. The it's the immersion, right? It's like, I guess we've probably been used to it because loading screens are just a natural thing that's been there for probably since forever
yeah,
in gaming.
probably. I mean,
But
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's the friction between you and the game, right? Getting into
Mm.
game, right? But I gotta admit, I'm old enough to remember the 8-bit computers. Where you basically used to put like an audio tape in a
Oh
player,
yeah,
and then you get all that kind of shit going on, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
And like maybe kind of 5 or 10 minutes later, you've got this game.
Yeah, there's no progression bar or anything. It would
Yeah,
just it
yeah,
would just it would just keep whining and
yeah. It happens when it happens. And by the way, when it's loaded up, the game runs at probably 5 to 10 frames per second. That's what you got at the end of it.
yeah,
Then obviously things got a bit better. Beyond the 16-bit computers, you had the consoles where you had your game carts.
yeah,
That got a little bit better. With the advent of hard drives, again, gets a little bit better.
yeah.
I think for me, it's going to be more about then whether you can fill up the RAM quickly.
Mm,
Because PCs have had that for ages. They've had SSDs for ages. Like maybe not these PCIe 4 SSDs, but they've certainly had
mm,
SATA. They've had PCIe 3.
yeah.
But I mean, what I heard described by Mark Cerny in his PS5 talk was
Mm.
really what I'd call just-in-time rendering.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I did actually watch that talk over and over again to see if I was kind of hearing what I was hearing, because just for me it was interesting stuff. I mean, right now, like if you think about how games are built, the amount of RAM that we have, last gen versus this gen, it's doubled. But you'd
Yeah,
expect that you'd at least expect that after about 7 years.
yeah, 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 yeah.
What I understand is they literally, and I'm talking about graphics data really more than anything else at the moment, but
Mm,
use the hard drive. They basically load in as much data as they can, and they cache it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
the cache as it stands is either going to be used or not used at all.
Mm,
I mean, I would say it's also for a number of seconds ahead,
yeah,
10 or 20 or 30, whatever the number is, but significant. Whereas what Cerny was talking about was actually the SSD is so quick that actually you can basically load the data you need or an event that may happen a couple of seconds in advance, or
yeah,
per game per game event. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
The other thing that I took from that talk is that it's not about SSD alone. So
Mm,
what they've done really is, I mean, this is where it all kind of like gets a little bit sci-fi. Equally, where it gets to a point where, how come you guys didn't hear this? It's not about the SSD drive. There's all this other shit around the SSD drive that does all this other stuff that you're not listening to. What he was trying to say is that we've got a really quick SSD and that has a certain amount of bandwidth, but that's not enough because there's all these other
yeah,
bottlenecks, and ultimately it's about landing the
yeah,
data into the right area of RAM as quickly as possible. It's almost a continuous flow, so it's basically a data streaming engine, a low latency data streaming engine.
mm, mm. Or just enough, I guess, is the point. Is
Just,
that
yeah,
now
absolutely, just enough.
now SSDs are quick enough, then you can load your map as you're kind of walking into it. Unlike I mean, if you look very carefully at games that we were last gen or the gen before, there are areas of space in which it deliberately delays you moving into one place to the other, so that it can pre-render the preload down that whole map, down that whole scene.
But then you have areas of memory or data in memory that you, depending on the event in the game, you never use, and that means you've got a lot of redundancy almost. So that's what I took from it, and the way they were talking about it, low latency, able to ship stuff into memory rapidly. It starts with the SSD bandwidth. They've got compression, really good compression. They've got a means of basically, I think they call it GPU memory scrubbers. So basically be very selective about what you take out of the GPU memory rapidly. And that is basically what gets you your throughput. It's not even throughput. It's actually the low latency that you're looking for.
Yeah.
We haven't seen any games that use it, by the way. Zero.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We need that. That's what we're waiting for, right? I think with the new engines taking advantage of it. I think Unreal Engine 5 will be able to take advantage of it, and it'd be interesting as they distribute that out and getting more and more developers on it. I'm looking forward to when that actually really kicks in.
Unreal Engine built with that in mind. Also, Sony invested $250 million in Epic.
Yeah.
I can only imagine they did that because on the Unreal Engine, and they kind of want to build a relationship. Because the PS5 demo that we saw was so impressive. It just was so impressive. I just thought to myself, wow, if you can do that on this piece of hardware, that's meant to be, well, it's a console. It's not going to be as powerful as a really high-end PC. That's super impressive, but how are you getting those results? yeah, exactly. And it was, it was real footage on, on a console, probably a dev console, not even the real thing.
Yeah.
So that was super interesting. But yeah, I mean, I just think there's this misunderstanding that it's all about the drive. It's not all about the drive. I really don't think it is.
Yeah. You need the engine. You need the game developers to understand it. There's so much stuff before that. But if you have the ability, you have the base to work off, then go for it.
Well, I was also thinking about the surrounding hardware around the drive that people are not talking about. This this I/O controller that Sony custom built. It's been designed to basically work hand in hand with the GPU.
Yeah.
And I think that's all kind of interesting, and I think we'll see the first evidence of that when kind of Ratchet and Clank comes out.
Yeah.
Because that's actually it's not a cross-gen game as much as I know. It's actually fully PS5, built for the ground up with PS5 in mind.
Yeah, that or Horizon 2. That will probably.
That's cross-gen.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So. Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping that will be. You would think an open world game really fully make use of it. There are over 100 million PS4s out in the world. For the first year, I don't begrudge Sony for wanting to make money.
Well, yeah. I mean, if the engine can make it, scale back to PS4 with minimal effort, as long as they didn't build it from PS4 up to PS5 and built it the other way around, then I think you're okay.
That's the question, isn't it? That is really the question. In when was the second Horizon? When did development start? Did it start before they, before it was viable to basically write on for PS5, or did it start when it was viable? That's the real question. As all these things with software development, it's all about timing as well.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it will be a new age of games as developers learn it, as the engines work.
Yeah, I mean, it'll come down to that. I think. I mean, I don't really feel that we're seeing what it can truly do. We're just seeing fast load times. There was one example where was it Neo? It's a From Software game, and I think on the older generation of consoles, it was taking I don't know. I'm gonna say something like 20 to 30 seconds to load something in. On the remastered version, and it's not just backwards compatible. It's kind of a full remaster, probably using PS5's APIs. 1 to 2 seconds, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So even the backwards compatible thing isn't really making full use of the drive. I think it's I guess it's the backwards compatibility stuff. I mean, there are limitations. you can't go, you can't go too far
Yeah.
with that.
Yep.